Good evening. We've all had some time to think about what happened with the Indian team and why do they find themselves in this precarious position where they have to depend on other results to go their way and look for divine intervention to get to the finals. World's #1 team in T20 internationals lost to the #8 team, Sri Lanka, in a last over thriller, and with that found itself on the brink of elimination in an Asian multi-team event. What's worse, the T20 World Cup is just 6 weeks away. So, what are the key issues that this team needs to address before the World Cup? We are talking about that, analyzing this team's performance here with us. Ashok Malhotra, former Indian player, former selector. Also joining me, Santosh Suri, who's been getting us all the latest from Dubai. He's been watching all the matches. Gentlemen, this is the evening after, I wouldn't say the morning after, evening after. There has been some time to really look back on all the things that went wrong with the Indian team. Now, how should one be approaching this loss? Ashok, so there are two ways of looking at it, and I've been seeing this all over the social media. One is that, come on, it's 2 games, last overs, India lost the toss. Dubai, the team winning the toss has a huge advantage, and it's not a big deal. Things are coming together. Let's not panic just yet. Whereas the second view is that why is it that this team that rules bilateral series ends up doing this in multi-team events? And this is no coincidence. There is something behind why this happens every time, and Team India needs to take some tough calls. Which side are you on, Ashok sir?
See, I will go with that. We win in bilateral series. Believe you me, even when Australia is coming, South Africa is coming, we're going to win those series. Believe you me, maybe 2-1, maybe 3-0. I would not know, but we will be winning those series. But the moment it comes to ICC tournaments, Asia Cup tournaments, we tend to struggle when there are more than one team. So I don't know whether it is the pressure. Or playing with the same team again and again, they get used to it, they know what kind of bowlers they have, and if they go to the ICC tournaments, you get different kind of bowlers, different circumstances, different match situations, and the pressure also mounts up, and believe me, our team is full of prima donnas, so you said very rightly last night, we are team superstars. So superstars, they tend to somehow, they tend to, an individual, 11 individuals don't make it. A team makes 11 individuals. So that is a real thing. If you look at other sides all around the world, there's no superstar. The team is a superstar. They play as one unit. Where we have, like Rahul is playing for his image, Rohit is playing for his image, Virat is playing for his image, Hardik is playing for his image, Rishabh Pant we know can hit the ball and tries to do that, even now Surya Kumar Yadav. So they're all playing for the images and egos. So that is where the thing is. And on top of that, the team management has been very, very if I say they are a little old-fashioned, I always now, when you compare Rahul and Ravi was streets ahead of Ram. He let them express themselves. He was doing man management. He's not doing coaching. At this level, you don't need coaching. You need man management skills. And Rahul has not been able to get the best out of that. Certain guys, he gives them a long road. Certain guys, they chuck them out after one game. So a different yardstick for different people. Like Umran Malik, 1 game out of the game. Avish Khan, 15 games, still continuing with him, keeping faith for him. Arshdeep is a blessing in disguise because he came in by default. Because Harshal Patel, if he wouldn't have got injured, Arshdeep could not have been inside. So the thing is, we have to decide who is going to. The first 3 has to be decided. In T20 cricket, most of the matches are won by the 1-2 wins.
Yeah.
Late order batters get 4 overs, 5 overs, and in that they have to do their things. But the top 3 are very, very vital. And if India is not doing well, it's thanks to the top 3, not 5.
Correct. So the key issues with this Indian team, they are on your screens, and we've been playing these. More consistency needed from top three, which is what Ashok sir is saying. But interestingly, Santosh sir, I was just looking at the number of matches they've played. Top three haven't played together since that 2020 T20 World Cup debacle. I mean, they have not played together. How are you expecting your top three to click when you're not playing them together? India have played, what, 24 odd T20 internationals this year. They haven't played together, all three of them, in a single one. Is that what you call preparation for the World Cup?
So probably this is a very clear indication where the team comes short when they have to, go into either World Cup or Asia Cup. So when these top three don't play together and suddenly they come, so probably that understanding or the strategy of the top three is not very clear. Who has to bat as a anchor? Who has to take the lead? Probably in one match, all are taking the lead, and in some other matches, they are taking all as anchors. So this role is not very well defined because they are not playing all together. So probably there is a bit of a misunderstanding or lack of coordination between the top three, what their exact role is when they come together. And the most interesting point that Rohit made last night at the press conference was that the 90% of the team is settled. So if you consider that 20 people, including the reserves, will go to Australia, so probably they have 18 very clear in mind, and there are only 2 berths which are going to be, tempered with or still indecisive. So from that indication, we see that most of the team will be this only, and maybe 2 or 3 changes can be made.
Yeah.
And as you were asking, Ashokji, which side you are? So we are on the opposite side always. It's the general in the war who always tries to keep the morale of the team high. So Rohit Sharma is trying to keep the morale of the team high, despite losing, battles in various sectors. So he's probably, trying to boost the morale of the team and keep things high as we look forward to the World Cup.
Yeah, so I watched that whole press conference today, and he stayed away, very consciously stayed away from words like panic, words like failure. Just every time a question was thrown at him about what went wrong, and he said that, look, it happens, this is cricket, it happens. I think that was one set answer. But here is an exact quote of what Rohit Sharma said, which Santosh sir was referring to about how they have this team settled. And this raises more questions than answers them. This team is 90 to 95% settled. Just a few changes that will happen. When you talk about experiments, yes, we wanted to try out certain things. If you look at the combination we've been playing before the start of the Asia Cup, it was with 4 seamers, 2 spinners, and the second spinner was an all-rounder. I always wanted to try and find answers as to what happens if you play the 3 seamers and 2 spinners, and the third spinner being an all-rounder. Now, in this case, it's all good that you want to try it, but you really want to try it in Asia Cup, especially when it hasn't come good in the last game. Would you have not wanted to go in with an extra bowler, which they needed in the last game, Ashok? So it's not like India really cruised through. They lost the last game against Pakistan. One reason was Hardik was hit all over the park. He was expensive. And, they needed somebody else to really come in, a specialist bowler. But they went in with a bowler less. They still continued to do that in this game. Was this really the time to experiment when you know that you're in this crunch match, in this crunch situation where you've got to win the match?
Absolutely, Meha. For me, Hardik Pandya is a number 6 bowler. He's not top in the top 5. I know he's bowling well. If he chips in 4 overs, it's a bonus. But if you take him as your frontline bowler, then you're asking for trouble. Because then he'd be targeted. Because then he has to bowl his quota of 4 overs. I would have preferred to see Ravi Bishnoi, Ashwin, and maybe Yajunandar playing in tandem. They might have checked the flow of runs. Never know. So what Rohit is saying, he has a point. But the thing is, they are not playing the right team. They might have a team. In theory, they have a great team. But practically, they're struggling to be a good team. That is where the problem is. Why would I keep playing KL Rahul? Why did I play Rishabh Pant in one T20 where he got 33, 34 runs and never played him again? Why did we open with Surya Kumar Yadav? So these are few questions which I don't know whether he has an answer, because anyway we are outsiders, as said by Rohit Sharma. The outside noise does not worry him. Believe you me, it is going to worry you if you keep losing like that. And if God forbid, if you lose a T20 World Cup also, the noise is going to get louder and louder.
Absolutely. And no, with the way they've played, I don't know about winning the World Cup. Can they get to the last four? Will they be in that? I mean, that's also a big question because of how they've played. I mean, you're not being able to beat Asian teams that are ranked much below you. Then how are you going to, in Australia, how are you going to be able to beat Australia? It's a really tough one for India. But one thing though, and you were talking about Rishabh Pant, and let's take that forward. Did they err in putting Rishabh Pant at 5 and 6? Rishabh Pant as an opener, we've been talking about, has been one of the options. Rishabh Pant at 4 also in 2 matches, I think, did well before the Asia Cup. But Rishabh Pant coming down as a role of finisher in place of Dinesh Karthik. The one thing, you were there, Santosh sir, in the press conference, I'm sure you heard that, where he's talking about how they just got Rishabh Pant in at that position because they wanted a left-hander. So there wasn't much thought they really went into why they and at what position they wanted to play Rishabh Pant. They just said we wanted a left-hander because, that just gives, eases off the pressure on the right-hand batsman at the other end. So we put Rishabh Pant in. But Rishabh Pant, who hasn't been doing well in T20 internationals, why would you give him that position at 5 and 6? You know he's not a finisher for you in T20 eyes.
That's absolutely correct. What Ashokji just referred to, Rahul Dravid not being a very dynamic coach. He may be okay with the youngsters and in the longer format, but when it comes to the, brass tacks of T20 and ODI cricket, is he up to there to take these harsh decisions, what we have been talking for the last few months?
Yeah.
But we have always found him short, and these are the two guys, the captain and the head coach, who are playing it very, very safe. And when the theory doesn't come out or their experiment doesn't work, then they have some weird explanations of, trying to experiment. You don't experiment in, Asia Cup or in ICC World Cup. By now, your whole lineup should have been ready, your theories and should have already been worked out, and your plans should have been there as you go. But still, you are saying that your 90% of team is settled. From outside, we know that not even 50% of team is settled. So going ahead, what are you going to do unless you really take some very, very strong and hard decisions?
Yeah.
Probably it's time for this, to take the bull by the horn and, take those hard decisions which need to be taken. Like Ashokji is saying, bring a more dynamic opener up front, maybe Surya or maybe Pant. But you need somebody of dynamic quality who needs to take the full advantage of the 6 overs at the top. And then you can probably have Rahul a bit down, or maybe you can look at Gill or some other batsman who can really, be of much more than usefulness than the 3 we have been talking about. I don't know how strong this team management is to take this.
They are not going to take that call. You and I both know that's not happening. Yes, Ashok sir.
But Meha, for me, what sums it all is their total utter confusion. If you look at yesterday's game, Rishabh was next to go in. And when he's about to go in, last minute, Hardik Pandya was sent ahead.
They were shocked.
So that shows the belief the team management has on Rishabh Pant in T20 cricket.
Yeah.
So if you don't have belief in him, then either open with him or don't have him. Simple as that.
Play him in top 4 or don't play him.
Yeah, exactly. He's your best match winner in one-day cricket and T20 test. Okay, T20 he is still failed to deliver by zone standard. But then you have to have different kind of a role for him. You have to give him a role. Okay, make him open and tell him you have license to hit. Yeah. So once he does that, then you might see a different Rishabh Pant who might turn the game around, because we all know he's a match winner. Once he gets going, and most of the bowlers all around the world are intimidated by Rishabh Pant.
Yeah.
So that is the thing. But when it comes late in the order, then field is widely spread out and he has to hit the ball from word go. Then 9 times out of 10, he's bound to get up.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, let's also take a look at why they're being called as these bilateral bullies and are unable to do much in team tournaments. We'll start with the T20 World Cup last year. India lost to Pakistan. They beat, okay, this is first, let's take a look at the bilateral series. What India have done since the T20 World Cup. They beat New Zealand at home 3-0, emphatic. West Indies at home 3-0. They even beat Sri Lanka 3-0 at home. The same team that they lost to last night. They drew with South Africa 2-all. This was in fact at home. Away series, they beat England and they beat Ireland. And, you know, one would think that with that kind of a record that they would do well in Asia Cup, but they failed to do so. The other big thing is, I was looking at the overall figures, Ashok sir, of India's batters in T20 internationals this year. Your top batter, without a doubt, is Suryakumar Yadav, who scored the maximum number of runs, so he's in #1 position. Number 2 is Shreyas Iyer, who's nowhere in the reckoning right now. So you actually made him play 14 matches before you dropped him. He scored 449 runs. Look at the strike rate for Shreyas Iyer, 142. He's sitting out of the team. I know short ball, problems with the short ball and all of that, but I also know that what the team right now that India is playing with is not clicking. Then at number 3 is the player that you gave maximum opportunities to as a backup opener in Ishan Kishan. Then he was dropped because you wanted to try Suryakumar Yadav and the others. And then as soon as KL Rahul came in, you put him in the squad. None of your top 3 are in the top 3 here as run scorers. They should have been, but they're not. Rohit Sharma comes at number 4, 423 runs, strike rate of 143. Hardik Pandya comes in at 5, Deepak Hooda at 6, Rishabh Pant at 7, Virat Kohli at 8, but that's also because Virat Kohli has played less matches than the others. What I'm trying to say is that when you look at this batting, the only positive to have come out this year and which is different from last year's T20 World Cup is Suryakumar Yadav and his batting and Hardik Pandya. And the dependence of India on these two, because everything else seems to be the same. Do you agree?
Absolutely, Neha, and look at that. These guys, the guys who are playing now, they have struggled even in IPL, most of them. You know, we have an Indian team of failures of IPL. You know, we don't have the cricketers who were successful in IPL. They don't get into the Indian team. That is a surprising thing, like you said about Shreyas Iyer. If his strike rate is 142, I don't care whether he is uncomfortable against the short ball or not, but he is delivered. And then Ishan Kishan, he was meant to open. And he's maybe you take the tag off his 15 crores, maybe he becomes the vintage Ishan Kishan again. I would not know. But the fact is, you have to take some time. I understand you are fond of KL Rahul. I understand Virat Kohli is a King Kohli and you can't think of dropping him. And then Rohit Sharma. His record has been very, very ordinary. Agreed. Yesterday he played a blinder. He took his chances. What I find difficult is, Meha, when you look at Sri Lankan batting, they toyed with our ball. They didn't take chances. In our case, we lost 2 wickets and then Rohit Sharma threw caution to the winds and he came good, sure. But that is not his way of playing. He normally milks bowling. You know, so that is what I'm saying. We are doing something out of the extraordinary, whereas other sides are getting, with every game, they're getting better and better. We beat Sri Lanka 3-0 and they were rebuilt. Now they seem to have rebuilt and they are challenges to us. They might not be the same side in Australia, but in Asian conditions, they are very formidable with Hatranga and Tikshana. You know, so they are a lethal side, but the fact is our bowling, batting needs to be fine-tuned, and our bowling. You know, we talk about Bhuvneshwar Kumar. for me, he's still a shadow of himself. The ball does not swing, then he is, especially in the slow overs, he's a sitting duck. You know, and that is where the problem is. You're going to miss Bumrah. So that is why you got to get Shami in. I don't know. Somebody has to be answerable there. If you are out of the Asia Cup, be it selectors who have got very cushy paid jobs, be it coach who has got a very cushy paid job, and you know, the team management. Every coach is a paid phenomenal amount of money. They are answerable. Be it bowlers, be it batters, be it a batting coach, be it a bowling coach, be it a fielding coach. They all are answerable, and the selection coach. They are answerable because it's very easy for a captain to come and say, "Oh, it is just 2 games." No, you cannot afford to lose. If you're an Indian team now, you cannot afford to lose because the billion dreams they depend on this. And secondly, you are well paid, you are very well looked after, and it is your duty to play that. You cannot take things lie down. You just can't go through motions and hope other side to lie down and walk all over. It is not going to happen. And you very rightly said, this is Asia Cup. Now you will have Australia, South Africa, England, New Zealand, 4 top teams of the world who will be playing in the T20 World Cup.
Yeah.
Where do we go? I don't know. I really shudder to think what will happen to the Indian team. Cricket is a game of great uncertainty. Might prove me wrong, but as of now, they have to do a lot of rethinking. They have to go back on the drawing board.
Yeah, absolutely. Very well said. And I do believe that, you know, this team can bounce back. They've shown it. But in a multi-team event, can they do it? That's the big question. The other thing, like I asked you questions about India's top batsmen. You look at India's top bowlers, and I'm going to put this question to Santosh sir. When you look at their figures overall, like Bhuvneshwar Kumar as well, we've been saying that he's a shadow of himself, but he did start well. He did bowl well. He is he's India's highest wicket taker, has a good economy, has a very good strike rate as well. But it seems like none of this came together for them. I mean, even the others, Yuzvendra Chahal went for runs. I think gave away 43 runs in the last game against Pakistan. The only 2 players who could stop or put a break on runs was Arshdeep and Ravi Bishnoi, who unfortunately did not play yesterday's game. But Harshal Patel, he has been out. When he comes back, his economy is slightly on the higher side, but he is also bowling in the death overs. He's got 19 wickets. I'm just giving you the performance of who are these top players. We're talking about the top bowlers, so that the Indian team and Indian fans right now can make an informed decision of what can be done. Ravi Bishnoi, surprisingly, is in that top list of top 6 or 7. And look at that, 10 matches, he's got 16 wickets, as an incredible economy of 7.08 and a better strike rate of 14.5. He, I think, is one of the missing links. He should be given more opportunities. Then there's, of course, Arshdeep. We talked about him as well. But are you okay, Ashok sir, there?
Yeah.
Did you drop your phone? Is everything okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I'm looking at these numbers and I'm saying they have done well. It's just that they were unable to do collectively as a bowling unit what is expected of them. Is that the way we should be looking at? Because I don't think this bowling unit is changing, except for maybe Jasprit Bumrah and Harshal Patel. When they're fit, they come back in. Santosh sir?
See, the weakest link in these 2 matches has been the bowling of Bhuvneshwar Kumar in the 19th over. So it's very obvious that we don't have a fast death bowler like Bumrah or Shami or even Harshal Patel. So that problem has been the biggest problem in these 2 matches. See, in the match against Pakistan, he gave away 19 runs, and yesterday he gave away 14 runs. That left Arshdeep only 7 runs each to defend in the final over, and he did a brilliant job. So if he had Bumrah bowling the 19th over and just gave around 7 or 8 runs, you would have had really a very different story there. So there is undoubtedly that Bhuvnesh has a very limited, type of a bowler. He can only swing the ball, and so first 3 overs he can move the ball, and later on he is of just no use to the team. There is no doubt about that. So will you carry him to Australia just for a couple of overs to be bowled with the new ball, or you require another bowler who can, bowl both with the new ball as well as be useful in the death overs? So that has to be thought out. And there is undoubtedly, you require a couple of bowlers who can bowl at 140 plus. So like Ashokji has been saying, two names he has been prominently taking. One is our Malik from JNK, and of course Mohsin from Lucknow. So these are the two bowlers who have been, very well spotted and done very well in the IPL, last IPL. Probably if even one of them was here, we could have groomed them and, brought them in a match here, and we would have known where we stood. But undoubtedly, you require much faster bowlers in Australia, where you will have to defend totals on bouncy pitches and big outfield. So this is the one point that has to be addressed while going for the team selection.
I also feel just having three bowlers, the pacers does not help. How do you travel with just three pacers? Where if Avesh Khan gets injured, you have nobody else. I mean,
Absolutely
this to
correct.
me, in today's times, is shocking, Ashok sir, that you don't have bowlers to choose from.
Absolutely, Meha, you are hit the nail on the head. And it is the fault of the coach, the selection committee, and the team management. They ask for it. Because why wouldn't you go for people who are like somebody like Imran Malik? For me, why would I keep giving Avesh Khan game after game after game?
Yeah.
You give one game to Imran Malik. He gets hit for 44 runs. He's out of the neck. He's totally sent back to Jammu and Kashmir. And Mohsin Khan nowhere in the news. And why couldn't we take 4 fast bowlers? What about Mohammad Siraj?
Yeah.
Well, what's wrong he has done? So why he's not in scheme of things? So you have got a lot of guys. There's a lot of fast bowlers. And believe you me, at least 10 are better than Avesh. The kind of bowling he has done. So Avesh Khan has been proven once again that he does not fit into the scheme of things. If you keep leaking runs after run, after match, then you're bound to there's something different. So you very rightly said, why did we come to Dubai with 3 fast bowlers?
Yeah.
Why couldn't we come with 4 fast bowlers? Why did we have a whole lot of batters when you knew the battle you're going to play? So that is a food for thought. The matches are won by the bowlers, not by the batters. So I know it is a batsman's game, but matches are always won by the bowlers. So we missed a trick or two by not having one more fast bowler. If nobody was fit, then you had Mohammad Siraj, who runs in like a horse and who's always, delivering.
Yeah.
So, or Mohammad Shami, he's pulling his heels at home. So I don't know why. And
actually, Mohammad Shami was brilliant in the IPL.
IPL. And I don't know who gives you the right to Rahul Dravid to tell the guys, okay, you are not wanted. Who is he? If there is a 5 selectors out there, they are the ones who are going to inform them, not the Rahul Dravid. Rahul Dravid is not a selector. He's a coach.
Yeah.
His job is to coach.
Sure.
You told Shikhar Dhawan, no, you are not wanted. You told Riddhiman Saha, you are not wanted. But these are the guys who will not say. You never said anything to Ishant Sharma because he knew he'll be aggressive, come back aggressive. So you didn't say anything to him. So Mohammad Shami, you have more or less told them that you are not wanted.
You're not part of the T20 scheme of things. It's been very clear.
Exactly.
Okay.
And why do you decide that?
Yeah.
Shikhar Dhawan is still one of the best players we have in T20 cricket. His record says in IPL, but he is nowhere in the scene.
Yeah, he's nowhere in the scene. Absolutely. Santosh, I'm completely out of time. Quickly, 10 seconds.
Okay, the irony is that Deepak Chahar is with the team, but we called Akshar Patel from India. It took him 2 days to reach here and couldn't play in any match. And there was Deepak Chahar with the team.
I want to know what
well.
is going on with Deepak Chahar. Why didn't they play him in a single game when Avesh Khan is sitting out? It's ridiculous. No, I get the standby bit, but you could have easily put him in when Ravindra Jadeja got injured.
Absolutely. That's what I was trying to make
give up. I give up. Now what we just need is again we're dependent on Afghanistan.
Defies cricketing logic.
Now we want Afghanistan to beat Pakistan. then we want India to beat Afghanistan, and then we want Sri Lanka to beat Pakistan. But all of this has to happen with such margins that India's net run rate remains above Pakistan and above Afghanistan.
If we get beaten by Afghanistan, we would have touched the rock bottom. Then only way is up.
I agree.
That is the only good news.
I agree. But then you need to change everybody. But thank you so much, gentlemen, Ashok Malhotra and Santosh Suri, for joining us here. So those are some of the key questions for this team, jokes apart, as they head to the World Cup next month. The World Cup is less than 6 weeks away. What is the Indian team going to do from here on to make sure that they're not in a similar position that they were in last year in the T20 World Cup? There are a lot of questions, more questions than there are answers at this point. Hopefully, we will get some answers over the next few weeks. That's it from us. Goodbye. Thanks for watching.